Hello, and welcome to today's. This is actually a kind of offshoot of what I've been doing with the Karen Reed trial. Usually, I will share the quick bits from Emily D. Baker, where she gives a rundown of the trial for the day. And that way, if you need to get caught up, it's really super quick. She's my favorite way to watch live trial coverage. And I'm always raving about her in my reaction videos or just sharing the content with you guys. But today, when I was watching live coverage of the trial with Emily, she mentioned something that really caught my attention. And I don't want to say it's going to be an unpopular opinion because I don't know if there's too many that have put the opinion out there. I haven't done much research, so I'm just going to put that out there. This is also just my thoughts, opinions, speculation, and just kind of a different route and avenue. But something she said got me thinking, and I have a little bit of personal experience, I guess, to go along with this thought. So I'm going to play this clip for you. It's really short of what Emily said that kind of really grabbed my attention. So give me just a second. I'm going to go ahead and share that screen with you, and I will play that for you. Let me make sure that YouTube audio is on. Okay, and here it is.
I don't know, y'all. With that BAC, I mean,
Doctor, if I could show you what's a two-page document asking you to do
the answer might be neither theory, and that he slipped.
Yes.
I want to
recognize
know
what that
from
is?
an expert if
I
that
do.
amount of
And
force
what do you
is
recognize that
consistent.
to
The
These are copies
last
of,
expert said it was.
Okay, so there is what she said, and it got me thinking. So this whole trial's been wild. We've got the Commonwealth prosecution stating that Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe with her car and that it just left him there in the cold to die. The ME today did state that he ultimately died from hypothermia. Well, you've got the defense saying that Karen Reed's being framed, and I've got obviously some questions around that, which I may add to the end of this little I've got questions bit I've got going for you here. But that she's being framed and that it actually could have happened in the house, that the marks on his arm are from a dog attack, things like that. But Emily says here that the Emmy mentioned in a clip just a few minutes prior to this clip that I pulled up for you guys, that his blood alcohol level was really high. I did not write down exactly what it was. I can tell you what I feel like it was, but I can't be for certain. So it's just best. It'll probably be in the recap whenever I do it. But so she states that what Emily says is maybe neither theory is correct. Maybe due to his blood alcohol content, he slips, falls, hits the back of his head, unable to recover himself, lays out there, and then ultimately, unfortunately, the hypothermia is what killed him. I know that what the ME is stating is that there was a lot of bleeding in the brain, that there was a mark in what's that cut, but essentially a wound in the back of his head. The pathologist, I believe is who it was, the witness prior to just right before the ME had stated that due to the blood coming out of the brain could have caused where the bruising and things were on his face, which is what looked like he had been beat up. I'm not saying that he wasn't beat up. I'm not saying he was beat up, just saying that she was saying that that could happen. So what Emily says here is, what if he were to fall? Could the impact have been enough to cause the brain bleed? But then it's the question of, well, what about the marks on his arm? So it got me thinking. To the best of my knowledge, and I'm all for someone to correct me, and I need to go back and actually probably look more into it, but to the best of my knowledge, there were no red tail light pieces that were pulled out of his arm. I do find it a little outlandish that they're trying to say that the marks on his arm are from the tail light, which was a couple witnesses prior, not the Emmy. But then, okay, so the defense is saying that, these could be from dog wounds. And on a lot of the different experts I've seen on other channels, not during the trial, I can get behind that. It does look like dog wounds or dog markings. Now, on the other side of it, there was cocktail glass pieces found around his body. There wasn't red taillight pieces. Well, I think there may have been later on, but don't quote me on that. There's been so much in this trial. But I do know that there were glass pieces around him. What if he did fall? And these are from, trying to roll over to get up or trying to, but due to the blood alcohol levels, he obviously was intoxicated. What if these are from maybe the grass was hard or the ground was hard, whenever it's about to freeze or like coming out of fall into winter and the grass dies down and everything's really crunchy. What if that's what this is from? And what if he did fall and Karen Reed didn't hit him with the car and he wasn't attacked inside the house? What if this was just merely an unfortunate accident? It would kind of make sense. I guess for me, I'll say it makes more sense if you put both theories aside and go along with this possibility that he fell. The reason that he's in that part of the yard is because he had noticed Karen's car moving up. Remember, I believe, I can't even tell anymore at this point, but she had dropped him off at one point and then she had kind of slowly inched up. And then she was annoyed and had decided to leave within about 10 minutes of him being in the house. She was tired of waiting on him. I've been there, done that. I've been married 20 years, and let me tell you, I've done it. So I'm not knocking the woman, no shade here. So as he's coming out, let's say that he's stumbling kind of across. The ground is getting slippery or, a little harder to grip on due to the weather that's coming in. And we do know that at some time between this time frame, multiple cars had pulled up. So it's possible that he started out that way towards Karen's car as she was pulling off, or mistaken one of the other vehicles that were parked there as Karen's car and was walking up towards it. Now, I don't have an explanation of how no one's seen him, what the time frame. I can't tie any of those things together, but just saying, what if that, to me, it kind of seems like it's a little bit more logical and that the pieces from both sides could fit together here and kind of explain that this was an unfortunate accident. Now, I mentioned earlier in my video that I had a little bit of personal knowledge per se around this. And so I will share that now with you guys on kind of death. I recently, within the last year, August will be 1 year that I tragically lost 5 people in my family. In January of 2024, my aunt was on a birthday trip on a cruise in Mexico with my other aunt. And she was out on one of the excursions with with her friends. There was a trolley that came through to take them back to the ship. And she went to get onto the trolley as it was moving. Her foot slipped. She slid in between. I'm not 100% sure on the details here, so I'm going to keep them kind of vague. But she slipped and was crushed by the trolley. And she died. And it doesn't make sense. It's kind of out of character for her. Trying to put those pieces together. Why did she do that? How did she do that? Her friends had stood back and were like, no, no, just wait. We can catch the next one. But it was something she did. We all agree it was out of character for her. It wasn't something normally she would do, but she did. And unfortunately, she was ran over by the trolley and she died. What that boils down to was just an unfortunate accident that resulted in the death and passing of my aunt, that there was no rhyme or reason to it. That could be the same here. And as much as this family wants answers, I think that it may be possible that this was just an unfortunate accident. Yes, things may have been out of character for John O'Keefe. We don't know because we haven't really gotten much testimony on, how he normally would behave or things like that. But I will say that for my aunt, I have two aunts, and they are about 11 months apart, and they are like night and day. I have one aunt that's a little more risky and lives on the edge, and my aunt that passed away was very more calculated in what she did. She was very precautious in the way she lived. She dressed the way that she lived her life. If this would have been my other aunt that's a little less mindful of things and a little bit more risk taking, I would have said, well, I can see her doing that. I hate that she did that. I hate this accident happened. But for my aunt that passed, it was out of character for her. But it happened, and that's what it resulted to. There wasn't foul play. There was no one to blame. It was just an unfortunate event that resulted in her passing. And that may be what this is, but how justice for John O'Keefe and for his family has somehow fell to the wayside for the Commonwealth, it kind of saddens me, because not every death results in somebody did it. There has to be a prosecution. Sometimes shit happens that results in these things. And by what I have gathered from the testimony from the Emmy and from the, I believe, pathologist, don't quote me on that, because the expert right before the Emmy, is that the fractures in the skull were from this hit in the back of the head, and that they kind of just spidered outward, but that the bleeding inside, and that the head wound had somebody noticed him out there, which is just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate, but possibly could have kept him from dying. Maybe they didn't state that, but the head wound and the internal brain bleed, I believe, is the main injury. And I think that the hypothermia is ultimately what killed him. Now, of course, I could be interpreting that wrong. It's slightly still unclear, but that's what I'm gathering from this. So tell me your thoughts on this. I still have tons of questions, but when Emily stated this, it was something that I personally was like, you know what, that beyond a reasonable doubt, I can reasonably see an accident happening. I'm having a hard time seeing the Commonwealth theory on how she hit him with the car, which is a whole different, I've got questions episode. And the defense, I feel like, has formed their defense around the actions that the police and the state troopers and everything have taken up to this point, meaning that their actions does look like that they are framing Karen Reed. Nothing that they've done has told me personally that this was a very had integrity behind the investigation. So even if she is guilty, they aren't helping. But at this point, I think that an accident seems a lot more likely then Karen hitting him with the car, and that he was attacked inside. And these still could be from the dog. It's possible the dog got out with all the back and forth, in and out of the door, things like that, and that the dog did get out and scratch an arm. But it doesn't mean that that's how, that he was beat up or anything like that. I don't know. I've got questions, but it is a theory that, I think could be a possibility. And I really wish that it would have been looked into more as an accident versus immediately as a murder, because I think if you rule out an accident, then you can move on to murder. It's kind of hard to charge somebody with murder and then turn around and go, oh, actually, it might have been an accident. And at this point, I don't see the Commonwealth even stepping up to say, after further investigating, even after she's found guilty or not guilty, I don't see the Commonwealth backing it up and going, hey, you know what? Actually, we looked into it more, and this could have just been an unfortunate accident. And that's where the only people losing here is John O'Keefe's family, and all of those that loved him, for them to be able to grieve, and the rift that this town has really taken. But if anything, they have definitely shown the corruption or the lack of training, and maybe something from that will change. But anyway, let me know what you think. Like I said, I still got questions. Do you have questions? I know I've got questions, so let me know in the comments. That's just my theory. Again, it's just speculation. It's just a theory. At this point, I think we all have a whole bunch of theories. So until next time, bye. Oh, and I almost forgot. If you enjoyed this, I've got questions, little offshoot video, hit the like button. Feel free to leave me a comment and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Until next time.